So, everybody, welcome to Reflections of the Council. This is going to be our live podcast while we are streaming here on Twitch. Myself, Valdor, and PhyrexianWalker are all here talking with our chat friends about Magic the Gathering, 3DH, Commander in general. This week is especially cool because it is just after the first week of previews for Guilds of Ravnica. As a huge fan of Ravnica, the plane in general, I got back into Magic with Return of Ravnica. This has been a really exciting week in most ways. There's been some disappointing things, which I talked about a little bit last week, but there's also been some really cool cards that come out, really strong, powerful cards in, some of the best guilds in Ravnica. Again, we'll get to that later. But Valdor, Phyrexian, we are going to highlight some cards this week. So again, it's week 1. There's going to be 2 weeks, so there were some previews today. But we're just going to talk each about one card from each guild per person. So it should cover about 15 cards, and if there's time at the end, we'll just kind of free roam over whatever other cards maybe come to mind. But we selected each 5 cards, one from each guild. So who wants? We did get a request in the chat, as you guys can see alongside of the screen, to start with potentially the weakest guild. That's my opinion, at least. I agree with whoever said that. With Boros, red and white. So who wants to go first?
I guess I will go first. Oh, no, unless...
I mean, I think I have the guild leader, so I should go first.
I wanted to say it, but then I was like, no, we'll just... Who wants to just take it? Take the reins. That's a card.
I do have the guild leader.
All right.
Valdor, you want to fight me?
Nah, you go for it, man. It's all you.
Our guild leader, Aurelia. I think this is just like... I like the card in terms of the set, I guess. It's Aurelia is a 4-drop for 2, 1 white and 1 red, and it has flying, and it's a 2/5, and then it has mentor. So that's the new set mechanic for Boros that we talked about last week, where whenever it attacks, you can put a 1/1 counter on a target attacking creature with less power, and then at the beginning of combat, you can give up to 1 target creature you control +2/+0 and trample if it's red, and vigilance if it's white. So basically, she can make herself into a 4/5 trample flying vigilance. However, I like the card for the set, I guess, but then when you look at it in comparison to Aurelia's first form, it's kind of like we were talking about Niv Mizzet last week, right? And we talked about how Niv Mizzet was just the same card reprinted over and over again with the same basic ability and the same curiosity combo.
Yeah, pretty much.
I feel like this is like a downgrade. Like Boros already didn't have a lot going for it, and then they took their guild master and then downgraded her, because being able to have an extra combat every turn for all of your creatures and already having, flying vigilance haste on the creature is so much worse than this, or so much better to me than this. This is so much worse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good for mentor. It's good for the set mechanic that it has. I just feel like it is a downgrade for her as the guild leader.
Yeah.
Compared to her first iteration.
I think the concept was to try to make her capable of being balanced out at a lower casting cost, because here she's 4. Previously she was what, 6, right? Yeah. 2 red and 2 white.
But previously she also had haste. So.
Yeah, but so you're talking about a 6-drop as opposed to a 4-drop. Now this is a 4-drop, and you get to... this is in like the standard bubble. I'm not talking about for Commander, because for Commander, I think Boros is just the worst of all the guilds by far, and this doesn't help it. But for the bubble of standard, this is going to be 4 mana and basically pump your field for 5, because she can make herself again a 4/5 and then throw that 1/1 counter, and it's 5 power that could be spread across 3 bodies, because she could give the +2/+0 to something else, the mentor to something else, and her own power. So it's 4 mana, and you buff your team up a considerable amount. Again, for standard, I think it'll be all right. I think the taking haste off of her was silly. From what I've seen, there's not a lot of hasty creatures in Boros this year, or this set, and it kind of feels like they tried to... I've seen a little bit of vigilance, and a little bit of first strike, and like 1 instance of double strike. And then, of course, like this instance of trample. So it seems like they went more toward like trying to keep blockers up with your aggro, with the vigilance more. So I don't know what they were trying to do. So I don't know if they hit that goal or not, but I do feel like they missed the goal on keeping the guilds balanced because I don't feel like, again, like anytime you have just attack, 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 I think that's going to be hard to do in formats like EDH. Now for standard, I think this will be pretty cool. You do get. Sorry, I rereading her really quick. You do get the +2/+0 and the trample and vigilance the turn she comes out. So you do get the turn she comes out, buff up your field by 2 power, and potentially keep back another blocker and get her as a blocker, and she's a 2/5 blocker. So that's a flying blocker. So that I guess is pretty good. It does make for some smarter attacks or some easier attacks. In the bubble that is standard.
Yeah, no, I mean, like we were talking about last week, and like most people have kind of said, just Boros is missing the mark so far this set, and I hate it, but I mean, I hate to say it, but I don't. Is Aurelia? Yeah, she disappoints me just as much as all the other Boros cards have. Like, I would have loved for her to have haste. I don't see why she couldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it is cool that her second ability to give a creature +2/+0 and trample or vigilance is cool, and you can use it right away, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But kind of meh. Like, I don't know. Just for me, it misses the mark a lot, I think.
And I think if we start, there was a lot of legendary creatures that were previewed this week, so you're gonna probably see some of them as we go through. So hopefully we remember at the end to kind of like look back and compare Aurelia to some of the other ones and kind of get like, how do we think she'll fare? Again, in Commander, I don't think she'll fare very well, but maybe in Standard. I do want to point out real quick in the chat, somebody said, depending on how you stack the trigger, she can mentor a creature and be mentored by that same creature. That is a good point. Because if you mentor, so if you have a 2/2 creature out there, she can.
I want to interject. That actually doesn't work because mentor triggers after you declare her as an attacker, while her second ability triggers at the beginning of combat. So that's as you go from main to combat, you'll get it right there. So.
Oh yeah. So she can't mentor a creature and then get mentored, but she can give the bonus to a creature and then get mentored by it. If you make a 2/2 with mentor 4/2 because of her beginning of combat ability, if that 2/2 has mentored, that now 4/2 can mentor her because she's a 2/5. Yes. So yeah, you're right. She can't mentor and then mentor because it's all done at the same time and then they'll all resolve. But she can get counters on herself by buffing up other mentor creatures that may not have been able to, whether it's the 1/1 double strike trample lifelink thing or vigilance or whatever it was, the like 2-drop 1/1 that I don't think had mentor, or maybe it did. I don't remember. The Viashino, I think it was, but something like that. If it's a 1/1 with mentor, you can turn it into a 3/1 that can then mentor Aurelia to make her bigger, which then allows her to live hopefully even more, minus of course kill spells.
So yeah. Anything else you want to say on it, Phyrexian?
That was one other thing I was going to say is that the 5 toughness is kind of nice because it does put it above most of the burn spells that I've seen so far in the format. I mean, they're the obvious just outright kill spells, but a lot of the burn spells only deal 4. So,
have we seen a lot of like legit just destroy target creature? Minus, I think we're going to talk about a few like destroyed creatures with power or toughness greater or less than, etc., etc. But has there been any straight like murder? Doomblade type stuff?
Kind of, which is the card called Price of Fame, which is a black and 3 generic for an instant. The spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a legendary creature. So it'd make it 1 black and a generic, and it's just destroy target creature.
Yeah. Servile 2.
Yep.
That's really good. This is going to be really cool in Commander, I think.
All right, so yeah, how about what's the Boros card you wanted to highlight?
So I have wanted to highlight this because I think the art's really funny. It's called Citywide Bust. It's a sorcery. It costs 1, a white and a white. It's a rare, and it says destroy all creatures with toughness 4 or greater. So I'm pretty sure this is a Boros card based on the flavor text, which I just want to mention. Their big board wipe kills their own guild leader.
Yeah, like, it does.
Like, why? Because really, is a 2/5. This is going to destroy her. I didn't get that. Again, maybe this is like we haven't seen Tajik, who is a rumored second legendary creature for Boros, so maybe it's gonna be for him because it looks like even in the flavor text it's Boros Sergeant, so I'm guessing that's more of like the city level cops for Boros, so maybe it's meant to favor him more. It is a 3 mana kind of board wipe for big stuff, so like I'm sure some of the green decks and stuff like that. We've seen a lot of 4 toughness or greater stuff from like Golgari, and surprisingly, Demir had a few things like the big demon and whatnot. So it's gonna be a decent board wipe again within its bubble. I think Valdor, you even mentioned in Discord that it was anti Arcades tech.
Yeah, and the D98 also mentioned, rip wall tribal.
Yep. Not gonna be no more wall tribal here. So it's gonna be good against like Doran decks, but I think that's too niche for it to be really good in Commander. But again, in Standard, I think it'll do well against getting rid of the big bomb cards. And then there's also like we've seen a lot of angel token makers, and angel tokens are typically 4/4 flyers. So this is also going to be able to kind of wipe away those huge board states that maybe this is going to save you in some Standard. I don't know if you're going to want to run this over. I mean, Settle the Wreckage is still going to be in Standard for a little while, so that's probably going to be a little bit better. But
All right. So my take on it, it's definitely very niche. I don't think it's going to really do anything. Unfortunately, some decks might run it in Standard. EDH, if you go for like a pure token strategy with hardly any Anthem effects, it
Yeah.
might be okay. Since, depending on your play group, if your play group likes to do just like battle cruiser magic, then it'd be amazing there, like for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely, just like Modern will not see any play at all. Nothing. No deck will ever run this for any reason whatsoever.
The only thing I can think of is if you're gonna do like you specifically want like a 1/1 deck. Like if you're doing Risks of Redeemed and like your main win con is like Triumph of the Hordes or some kind of until end of turn buff. Like I mean Crater Hoof Behemoths, because again that's only until end of turn. Anything like that. So like for the most part, this is going to be a 3 mana wipe everybody else's fields in most situations. Maybe those kind of decks are going to run it, but again, like you're saying, a lot of decks even that run that strategy tend to run anthems or stuff like Cathar's Crusade, where you get the 1/1 counters and your swarm eventually gets incrementally better. So I think, like you're saying, I'm agreeing that this is very niche and it's going to have a hard time doing really well in Commander.
Any thoughts, Phyrexian?
I mean, it just feels like a bad, like Els Martman just said it, but it just feels like a bad Dusk for Dawn, because Dusk would do like, power 3 or greater, and then Dawn would bring back all your 1/1s and 2/2s. So it just feels like a bad version of that card to me. I know Dusk costs, I think, 4, and then Dawn costs 6, I think, but still.
Yeah.
It's 5. I brought it up. So Dusk is 2 white sorcery, destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater, rare. Then Dawn is obviously an Aftermath card, so it has to be already in your graveyard in order for you to play it. It is also a sorcery, 3 white, return all creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. So it's not even super great. Maybe it'll be whatchamacallit, Citywide Bus is going to be a board wipe for Alicia decks. Because she cares about 2 power stuff, and a lot of her combo pieces do not have a huge amount of toughness. So maybe that's where it'll find its niche.
I mean, if you're doing EDH and you're struggling for board wipes, maybe, again, like if your play group is definitely a lot of battle cruiser magic, then I could for sure, see playing this. But it's hard to justify a slot over, Dave Judgment or something.
Well, again, like if you're running a lot of like low toughness stuff in like Alicia decks, I think it might be okay. Because again, it's going to be one-sided. Well, mostly one-sided. You're gonna like not kill people's like mana dorks and stuff like that. But depending on the deck, that could be super dangerous too. And it's actually amazing how many decks really win with like 2/2s and 1/1s.
Yeah.
But Valdor, you had a deck. I mean, you had a card you
I
wanted
do have
to.
many decks.
I hope so.
So the translation, I don't know if there's an English version of this card
Yeah.
yet. But in my opinion, I don't
gotta
know if you can pull it.
find what its name is. What is it? Which one is this one?
So the translation I have names it as Chance for Glory.
What does it do?
So I think so I know on Scryfall, which is what you're using, it's a foreign language, but this is a 1 white red or mythic instant.
Oh,
And
okay.
it just says creatures you control gain indestructible. Take an extra turn after this one. At the beginning of that turn's end step, you lose the game. Which we make fun of Boros about all they want to do is attack, but really this card it's actually a good card for Boros attacking with. So notice the one thing I want to point out though is it says creatures you control gain indestructible. It does not say until end of turn. That actually is intentional.
Yeah, that's very true.
During your next turn, they will have indestructible again, and it's just kind of like Triumph of the Horde or anything else. This is a card you cast to end the game.
Yeah. I mean, there's also especially in Commander. Now, if you're talking about in Standard, yeah, that's gonna be kind of hard to play around. Like, you're gonna have to win the game on your next turn.
Yeah.
In like Commander, you do have ways to end the turn or even counter abilities, right, when they go on the stack. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you're gonna have those in Boros, but there are ways to just straight end a turn to make effects on the stack fall off in colorless. So
Right.
you're going to be able to, I think, be able to play around with it. And there's a couple other effects where it's like, oh, get this thing, but then lose the game on the next turn or whatever, or at the end of this turn. So in the right deck, this might be, again, because you're making a really good point that creatures you control gain indestructible. Period. End of sentence. It's not
That's it.
until end of turn. It's not until you lose the game. Well, obviously, but you know what I mean. There's no but to it.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, like I could definitely see this card making a huge impact in Standard if you're a Standard player, and because it is pretty amazing. You're always at that. If I have one more chance to attack, and this gives it to you. I kind of actually see this getting maybe some fringe modern play. It's not going to change anything, but it's going to be fringe possibly.
Yeah.
And then I kind of think any Boros deck that is swingy wants this in Commander. I mean, it's a great card.
Any Boros deck that's swinging, you just said all Boros decks.
So all of them.
Yeah.
Yes, all Boros decks.
I mean, when I say that, I'm also including like a Naya deck or a Mushu deck. Possibly.
Boros X.
So Boros X
Gotcha.
decks that are swingy.
So I do want to just let you know that the translation for this card on Scryfall is Final Borton. As in Final Fortune, but with Borton for Boros. And Phyrexian wanted to side at my jokes.
I've been holding it in.
He just let it out. Let it all out.
AD98 pointed it out, and I've just been letting it go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it because he put it in the chat. He or she. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I think out of all the cards I've seen for Boros, this is the best one so far.
I like how
if you don't agree, fight me.
I mean, to be fair, Boros in like that first day when we were talking last week on Monday, in that first day, they didn't set the bar very high. So to get the best card was only like, let's actually try for a change. I do want to highlight the fact of, and I don't think this is just an us thing, because like I pay attention to what people say on Twitter and even on Reddit, which is dangerous for your mental health, but a lot of people feel the same way that I think we collectively as a group kind of feel, is that out of the 3 cards we highlighted, one of them was, we think this is good. The other 2 were kind of like, oh, this is a downgrade from previous versions, and this card may have niche followings, but it's probably not that good. I mean, and it's even counterproductive to its own guild leader.
they're still unique, which is a reason to bring them up because they are very unique cards, or they're highlight cards.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad of us to bring them up. I mean, we wanted to bring up one of every guild. I'm just saying it goes toward how I think the guild is being portrayed and being accepted by everybody who plays. Is if you've got people constantly complaining, or like 2 out of 3 people, we couldn't find a good card, so we just got a card that we wanted to just point out negative things about, which kind of sucks. I really had hopes for Boros after the Dominaria promo was the Fire and Sun. I had hoped that, moving forward, we were going to have some different Boros things. Alright, so it looks like, Clicky says Gruel, we have 2 people saying they want to go Demir
Clicky.
next.
Yep, Demir.
So I'm going to go last for Demir, I think.
Are you? Okay. I was going to say, we want to just go around the same order, but never mind.
I'm going to go a little last because I have what I think is one of the cooler cards. So whoever wants to go first, y'all can fight over that.
I went first last time. I'll let Valdor go first this time.
I guess I will because, all right. I've said the last podcast, but if you know me, I am probably a modern player, like more than I am an EDH player. And so when I say this card is going to impact modern, that's pretty big. So this is Mission Briefing. It is a blue instant that says Surveil 2, then choose an instant or sorcery in your graveyard. You may cast that card this turn. If that card would be put in your graveyard this turn, exile instead. This is literally a tweaked version of Snapcaster Mage, which everybody knows every blue deck plays. And I think the biggest reason why this card is so amazing is you surveil and then choose your instant or sorcery. Meaning, if you cast a spell and then somebody exiles your graveyard, you can still look at the top 2, bin whatever instant you want, and then cast that one. So it gets around the graveyard hate, and there are going to be decks that want this that don't want Snapcaster Mage. And honestly, like, this card, in my opinion, is amazing. And if you get some at pre-release or whatever, hold on to them because they're going to be good.
You think the price is going to go up?
I mean, it's going to be one of those cards that it's going to go up. I mean, this is going to be a heavily open set, so it's not going to go up quickly, but it will go up eventually after a while.
I do want to mention, I don't know if you said it, but it is a rare. That's another thing that's going to go into its pricing thought process, is that it's got that much less of a chance of showing up. If you draft, let's say, you've got a 1 in 3 pack chance, and then, your odds just keep going down based on how many rares are in settings, everything. So, like, if you don't, you have that much smaller of a chance of opening these, so for a while, they might go up a lot as the modern players try to break it and play with it more. But after that, it'll probably go down a little bit, as Valdor's saying, as they get open more. But there's probably going to be a plateau at some point.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, even in EDH, this is a pretty good card because you could get one of your big splashy spells back late game that you can't normally recur. Or, or even in Standard, being 2 blue, it could do something potentially good. And, like I said, the biggest upside is the fact that you choose the instant or sorcery after you surveil.
Yeah. After you already get more ammunition.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah.
What do you think about Mission Briefing, Frexy?
I think it's a good card. I mean, like, it's Snapcaster on instant. Yeah. Which Snapcaster already is since it has Flash, I guess, but it's a good way.
Do you think...
I don't have much to add that hasn't already been said. I think it will see play in Modern. I think it will see play in Standard. I think it will see play in Commander.
Do you think the trade-off of the Surveil 2 for not getting the body is going to make it worse or not matter? I consider it a downside that you don't get the body, but Is that the trade-off? Is the trade-off positive or negative?
I think overall it's probably positive because the surveilling gives you more card advantage. Whereas the block, I guess it just depends on the game though, because it depends. Are you playing the Boros aggro deck? Because then you need the body to block. But
Yeah.
So it was.
I think it kind of depends. But I usually lean towards card advantage, and the surveil gives you card advantage. Where Snapcaster gives you card advantage with being able to cast the card from your graveyard, but doesn't give you the extra card advantage you get from the surveil too.
Yeah. Okay.
It was pointed out that in chat that you got to, just like Snapcaster, you got to remember that timing restrictions do apply. So you know, because you could cast it till end of turn.
Yeah.
So if you do a sorcery, you have to cast at sorcery speed.
Yeah. So having this at instant speed, obviously you're gonna probably go more toward instants, I guess, in your deck, just because you're gonna want to be able to respond with this, right? I guess is the main thing.
I mean, yeah, or you could just I mean, it's not flashback, but or you could just recast your Supreme Verdict that you've already cast for the turn.
Okay.
Or turns prior.
Fair enough.
But
yeah,
that's my card. I'm in love.
All the modern cards. Valdor's just out here looking for the modern cards. You picked up the the modern card from last week, if I recall.
The Assassin's Trophy.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right, Phyrexian, you've got a card.
Right. Well, I kind of cheated, so.
Well, which one are you going over first?
Hard time. I'm gonna go over Errata, the Silencer first, since it actually has Dimir colors. But it is for 2, a blue and a black. It's a legendary creature, vampire assassin. It cannot be blocked, and whenever it does combat damage to a player, exile target creature that player controls and put a hit counter on that card. That player loses the game if they own 3 or more exiled cards with hit counters on them. Errata's owner shuffles Errata into their library. I hope I'm saying that right. But
I think it's Etrata.
Etrata?
Yeah. I don't know why. I was listening to the Command Zone reveal. So this is the Command Zone's preview card. Josh Liquide actually previewed it with Olivia Goberthix, who's going to apparently run it for, in the future. On the 26th, I think, is going to be the next episode of Game Nights. She actually runs this as her commander in that episode. So that's going to be pretty cool. But I think they said Etrata.
Yeah, and I just think that this is mainly a commander card. I don't think it sees play in standard or anything because of the shuffle effects and everything else. I mean, I guess you could try to make a deck off it in standard. I just don't see how well it would play.
Yeah.
Maybe run a 4 of and just hope to, draw into one, play it, draw into another, play it. I really see it as a commander card just because of the rules with commander where you can choose to just put it back in the command zone instead of shuffling it into your deck. But yeah, you're going to have to pay the 2 more mana, but I could see this with something, little Lightning Greaves action, little, As Phyrexian, when I see a card that says I can eliminate someone from the game, it speaks to me.
Yeah. Well, when I see 10 infect, I go for it.
I can just kill somebody. I can find a way to cast this card 3 times and somebody dies. Or you can even run like
Trying to think of a card, or
will Sundial of the Infinite work to stop it from getting shuffled back in?
No.
Or does it happen at the same time it puts the hit counter?
It's all part of the resolution, so you would have to let it resolve.
So you'd have to let everything go.
So D98 actually just mentioned that you can ninjutsu something in, or you can flicker it in response. So basically, you have to let the entire trigger go through. But if it's not on the field anymore to shuffle, it cheats. You still get the effect, and then you don't have to shuffle because it's no longer there. It's no longer an object to shuffle.
Yeah, I'm not a smart man. I was not realizing what people kept talking about with ninjutsu. I was like,
yep.
I thought they were trying to say like you could hit with this and then ninjutsu to get another hit. I'm like, that doesn't work.
No.
But then I was getting the whole thing wrong, and I feel dumb now.
No, I mean it's odd because you almost always want a ninjutsu before combat damage because you want whatever the ninjutsu effect is.
Yeah.
Ninjutsu is a combat damage based effect, right? You want to sneak somebody in, hit somebody, and then the hit triggers that attack. So you're basically using ninjutsu, like the ninjas, as bounce cards.
Yeah.
That's what you're really doing.
Yeah, and I finally got that after all this time because I kept thinking, I'm like, people are wrong. I was wrong. I was horribly wrong.
I did like, again, Olivia's going to be playing this, and they don't fully deck check her deck, because they didn't want to, I think, give everything away, plus she may have some cards from Ravnica in her deck, but she did go over the overlying strategy. Her deck is basically, what is it, Mirror Gallery? Is the legend rule no longer applies?
Mm-hmm.
So that
she's just trying to make a bunch of copies.
Yeah, so she's trying to, make a bunch of copies and clones and tokens and stuff of Etrata so that she can, because Etrata doesn't care. Yeah, that was actually another key one of hers. So Etrata doesn't care whether it's this Etrata or another Etrata. So for like standard, if you had two Etratas, you cast one, hit, and it does shuffle, and then you cast the other one and hit. If that's the second or the third counter you get, it doesn't care that they were different Etratas. It just says you lose because you have hit counter. You have 3 hit counters when we check for this trigger. So it's kind of cool. I think it's a little bit too much of eggs in one basket with either Helm or Mirror Gallery for Commander, because exiling artifacts isn't hard. But it's a cool strategy. I like the ninjutsu and the flicker type thing. That's personally more what I think is more reliable, because there's so many more effects for that. But we'll see. We'll see on the 26th when Game Nights comes out how she does. So hopefully she kills one person. She has to assassinate one person.
And I'll just say, if this card is 3DH legal, Phyrexian will be building it.
Okay.
So, DM, what's your special card?
The best card. Hold on. I have to type it in first. But I chose, of course, the Guild Master of Dimir. It seemed only right, since again, Dimir was my guild back when I got back into Magic, all the way back in Return to Ravnica. Lazav the Multifarious. First of all, that's a cool title. I didn't know what it means. I still don't really know what it means, and I don't care. I'm going to keep saying it. Multifarious. What does that mean? No idea, but it's cool. He is, of course, a legendary creature. He's a shapeshifter for blue and a black. He's a 1/3. When he enters the battlefield, he's going to Surveil 1, which is, of course, look at the top. And if you like it, leave it on top. If you don't, put it in the graveyard. For X, Lazav, the Multifarious, there, messed it up, becomes a copy of target creature card in your graveyard with converted mana cost X, except its name is still Lazav. It's legendary in addition to its other types, and it has this ability. So it's very similar to the old Lazav, where he gets to keep his ability so that he can keep turning into other things. This doesn't rely on milling, which is cool. It's basically self-mill, maybe some reanimator, because if you don't have Lazav, maybe you just want to get your stuff back, which, again, stuff that I like to do. It is interesting in the fact that it's your graveyard only. It's not other people. You don't care about killing other people's creatures, minus, of course, getting them off the battlefield. But you don't care about any of that stuff. You're going to basically... The old Lazav struggled with the fact of, what if you had a bunch of opponents who didn't have good creatures? Or if they were all enter the battlefield effect creatures, because if Lazav's already on the field, he doesn't get the enter the battlefield effect. So that's kind of Lazav's old problem. This is basically, you build your deck the way you need in order to do what you want to do. And that's a lot better. I do think the biggest downfall of this Lazav as compared to old Lazav is that old Lazav was hexproof. They didn't make him hexproof this year. I think that's going to be his biggest weakness, is that he's going to eat removal a little bit more often. But of course, you can try to, in response to targeted removal, try to get something that has Hexproof or Shroud from your graveyard and make him a copy of it, because they don't have Hexproof or Shroud when they're in the graveyard. So that's something that you can kind of be tricksy with. So, you're going to try to remove my thing? Oh, now you can't, because you can't target it anymore. So Lazav. Cool new Dimir legendary creature. And yeah, he's a 2-drop. He's a 2-drop. Eat your heart out, Amara.
Oh, We got the answer. Clicky says multifarious means having many varied parts or aspects. So very appropriate then.
Yeah, he's always changing whatever he is. I do hope at one point. I don't think this will be the last time we go to Ravnica. Like, I don't think this is the end of the world apocalypse, but I kind of hope one day we like figure out who Lazav is. Like, where did he come from? How does he get this power? Like, what is he really? Because I'm sure he probably wasn't born a shapeshifter. Because is shapeshifter really like a thing on Ravnica? Like, it's not like obviously like changeling, but
I think he might be the only shapeshifter there.
oh well, then he definitely had to have done like some kind of like dark magic or some crap to get
Lorwyn.
that.
Lorwyn. Shapeshifters in Lorwyn. Let's do it.
No,
Sir, I want my Lorwyn back.
so All Smart Man makes a really good point of a. So I would say he's a 3 mana commander at that point because he's going to be a blue and a black for in combination with a Phyrexian Dreadnought. Phyrexian Dreadnought's a $40 card. It was like $26 a week ago. So it jumped. Like, people saw this and it jumped up. I don't know if 26 is exactly right. I think it was 20 something, so it may have been higher up on the list. But we were talking about that over again at the EDH Rec, folks. We were just talking about how Lazav and some of the other cards in this set are just making things either jump or drop. So I don't know. What do you guys think of Lazav?
I mean, I actually don't really. I don't care for it that much, to be honest. It's gonna. I don't know. Like, I honestly, I don't know. I haven't thought too much about it. EDH, it might do some stuff. It might do some new decks. But there are probably better graveyard decks out there than Lazav. So, meh.
That was my thought too. Is he just seems like a bad graveyard commander?
He's a graveyard commander in Dimir, though. That isn't mill based. I think that's one of the most exciting things for this version of Ravnica is that it's not mill based. We honestly don't care about your library anymore. We don't give a damn about your books. We're here to win and save the world.
I mean,
I don't think that's what Dimir's about, but okay.
No, they're supposed to be the heroes of the set in the story. That's the rumor, anyway. I don't know if it was officially said, but everybody's like, the Dimir guys, based on like flavor text and some other things, seem to be like protecting native Ravnica against the invaders. I believe it was put in one of the flavor texts. The 3 Boros choices, Clicky, were Aurelia, the Citywide Bust, and it wasn't fully translated yet, but we think it's called Chance for Glory. Oh, Valdor already got it in the chat. Look at you go.
Yeah.
But and then these were Atrata, Lazav, and Mission Briefing. So I did see we were asking for. I think 1 Golgari, 2 Selesnya.
Well, Golgari was first. So that's all that matters.
Is that how we do it?
That's what Valdor said earlier.
I mean, sure, why not?
Okay. Who does anybody want to go first? I can go first since I made myself go last time.
Yeah, I think it's your turn to go first.
All right. Well, I picked, of course, when we started this idea, I think I called dibs on Vraska Golgari Queen, who is the in the set Planeswalker. There's 2 Vraskas in the set. There's going to be the Planeswalker deck one, which is, outside the set in just the Planeswalker deck. And then there's going to be this one is the good one. It is 2 black-green, starts at 4 loyalty. She's, of course, a legendary Planeswalker with the name Vraska. Her +2, you may sacrifice another permanent. If you do, you gain 1 life and draw a card. Her -3 is destroy target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 3 or less. And her -9 ultimate is you get an emblem with whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. This thing is cool because, 1, I like the fact that you can sacrifice any permanent. So this can fit right into, like I mentioned earlier that I was making a Jund Lands deck. This could fit right into that. to feed into Worm Harvest, to feed into anything of whenever you like a Gitrog monster, if he's on the field, I'll draw 2 cards then because Gitrog will allow me to draw a card, and Vraska will draw me a card with this ability. I like the minus dealing or destroying anything. The 3 converted mana costs or less, I think, is okay because I see a lot of like baseline 3 mana or less stuff in Commander because that's your setup stuff. And I think a lot of like Sylvan Library. This thing hits Sylvan Library in Commander. That's a good thing to hit. Rite of Replicate, not Rite of Replication. Cryptolith Right. It hits that. That's a good card. It hits a bunch of combo pieces. It does miss a bunch of combo pieces as well. But I think if they were to just say hit any non-land permanent, either they would have had to signify that it couldn't hit certain other things, like it couldn't be a creature and a land, or it would have had to been a -4, and it would basically be cast 4, destroy something because her starting loyalty is at 4. And then her ult is super cool because it's a throwback to the original Ravnica, where if you ulted her, you got 3 assassins where if they hit somebody, they lost the game. So it was all about getting her to that ult, finding evasion for these little 1/1 assassins to kill people. This, though, is a lot more powerful because it's an emblem. Emblems, I think at some point we're going to need a way to get rid of emblems. Because when they get there, it has to be like a hard thing to do. It either has to cost a ton of mana or like require you to almost lose the game to do it because otherwise you take the coolness away from most planeswalkers ults. But this basically makes you arch enemy, and if you're ulting it at the right time, this is probably the end of the game, which is the truth for most planeswalker ults. So it's not, I don't think it's super broken, but I think it's super solid in at least the decks that I think about playing her in.
And I do respect the construction of the card and the fact that it does not ult with Doubling Season.
That's very true.
Because they just did the Doubling Season reprint for Battle Bond, and then I like the fact that they put it at 4 and the ult is at 9, so it does not automatically ult. So it's not like I play this card with Doubling Season in play, I ult, I win the game. You at least have to do a little bit of setup, protect it for a turn, don't get it hit with remove or anything else for it to go off and win.
Yeah. You don't get to just. I mean, the way you would curve it would be weird.
The ult was at 8 instead of 9.
Yeah, but you would have to
5 instead of 4.
Because of Doubling Season's cost, though, the curve would be kind of odd anyway. So you would probably see it coming, and people would probably get a chance to react. I mean, and that's I guess Doubling Season wouldn't be in Standard because Battle Bond's not in Standard, but yeah, is Battle Bond Brawl legal?
No.
Okay. It's probably a good idea. It's probably a good idea that they reprinted Doubling Season in that. But yeah, again, I like the callback to original. I like how balanced the minus is, and again, the +2. I like that it's anything. It could be tokens, it could be enchantments, it could be artifacts. You could probably even run this in some kind of a weird artifact deck because artifacts tend to have so many, like when an artifact leaves the battlefield effect. Marionette Masters in the colors. Junk Diver.
Or even just Spine of Ishah.
Say that again?
It's just a way to Spine of Ishah. That's just a way to sacrifice the spine.
Yeah.
Send it to the graveyard, get your extra triggers, all that fun.
It could be really good actually in like a Glissa deck.
Yeah.
Glissa the Trader. I mean, obviously not the bad Glissa.
Who cares about the Sunseeker?
Is that what it's called? I never remember.
Yeah. Glissa Sunseeker, I think.
The only thing it's missing is a little line at the bottom saying that this could be your commander. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to keep talking about that. Like, every time we talk about Planeswalkers, it'd be like, it could be your commander if they would change the rules. So.
They're not going to change the rules.
It's going to happen one day. You don't know.
I hope they don't.
It'll happen.
Valdor, you want to do your Golgari card?
Sure. I'll do mine. I got another weird foreign one, so I hope I got the I hope the site has the translation right, which is Morgue Troll. It is a 1 black-green for a 4/4 troll creature. It has trample, and at the beginning of your upkeep, exile a creature card from your graveyard. If you do, put a 1/1 counter or +1/+1 counter on Morgue Troll. Otherwise, sacrifice it. And then it has the activated ability of green and a black. Discard a creature card. Put a +1/+1 counter on Morgue Troll. And I mean, if you guys haven't noticed, I'm probably a little bit more competitive than the other two, just because I do play Modern. And so I'm looking at this from a standard standpoint of this could be a good card. It's a decent beater for 3 mana, has trample, which is a great keyword, and has an ability that keeps, helping itself. You discard a card, get a +1/+1 counter. Then at the beginning of your upkeep, you exile that creature card from the graveyard, get another +1/+1 counter. Soon you're swinging for 6 damage. And like Clicky says in chat, it's a callback to Lotlith Troll, which is discarding a creature card to get a +1/+1 counter, and it's a good beat stick for standard. And I think it's going to see some play.
I think the hard part about it, though, for standard is the fact that you already have to have a creature in the graveyard to be able to cast it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it'll just sacrifice itself the turn after you've played it.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's not gonna. I don't see it often that you're gonna, play a 1 or 2 drop in Golgari colors, have it die, and then be able to cast this on turn 3. And with the clock being as fast as it is on standard, I'm not sure that it even sees play there.
I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with it, and its beginning of upkeep trigger goes on the stack. Then you use its other ability to get a creature in the graveyard. That doesn't work. Never mind.
Mm-mm.
I don't think that works.
Why not?
Actually, it does work. It does work. You exile Island Resolution, you don't target. So yeah, you can discard a creature card and then exile that, and you're now swinging turn 4 with a 6/6. As we've seen, there's not a lot of spot removal in this set so far. So it's a pretty good beater, and with, it being in black, which has access to surveil, whatever, you can get cards in your graveyard, and it's Golgari. Again, there's ways to do it, and it's not going to be that much of a drawback. Like, as we've seen with Undergrowth, Golgari wants creatures in your graveyard. There's going to be ways to do it easily, efficiently, and it's going to be powerful. Because anytime you could use your graveyard as a resource, you've basically got a second hand in the game. And I just see this card being amazing in standard, power-wise.
Empire Scum makes a good point that Citrus Supplier is going to be in standard, which is a 1 black creature when it enters the battlefield or dies, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. So there's a good chance that you could actually set up your in the correctly built deck. The only thing I don't really like about Morgue Troll is that it's exiling stuff out of your graveyard in Golgari, which has the Undergrowth ability. So you're kind of you have to either accelerate your filling the graveyard, which puts you on a bigger time clock because your deck's only going to have so many cards, or you're undercutting the Undergrowth. So maybe this goes into a deck that doesn't rely on Undergrowth or only relies on a few cards for Undergrowth.
Yeah.
And that just means that there's more maneuverability. Like, this might actually go really good with the Lich that we talked about last Monday.
Yep.
That doesn't rely on Undergrowth at all, but it does help you fill your graveyard. So that might be, like a 2-card combo. We all agreed that the Lich seemed pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean, and with the Lich, because that's blue and black, right?
Mm-mm.
Oh no,
it was green and black. It was Golgari.
Yep. Yeah, sorry, just took me a second.
Yeah, but if you were to go 3 colors and do like Surveil with
Sultai.
this, I think that would be pretty good too.
Sultai seems like really like the most powerful combination this next set, and I definitely imagine most competitive standard decks probably branching into Sultai if it goes that way.
Yeah, I think no matter what colors, like what guild you start with, you're always gonna splash for another color at some point. I think just the 3 color synergies are just too strong for some of these, at least so far, and we haven't even seen the other 5 guilds yet for alliances or allegiances. I can never remember.
Yeah, but so that's my card. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be great. It's going to beat you in the face if you play standard, so be prepared for it.
Yeah. All right, Cheater McCheaty Face.
My card is Doom Whisperer, and I don't care that it has a Dimir watermark. I don't care that it has the Dimir ability for the set. I will put it in a Golgari deck. I'll be happy by pulling it in a Golgari deck. I also think this card has the potential to way more impact on the standard than the troll we just looked at, just because it's a 6/6 flying trampler for 5. That alone is like ridiculously good, then it's not legendary. So you can play 4 of it in a deck and have multiple ones out at a time. And then on top of it, you get the ability of paying 2 life and surveilling 2.
I
It's
think
just
go ahead.
like you just compound like thing upon thing upon thing upon thing, and I think it's a great finisher for a variety of decks. I mean,
I think the only thing I would disagree with is running 4 of these in standard. I don't think
I mean,
you typically shy away from having too many 5-drops. I think running 2 of them is definitely acceptable, but I don't know about running 5 of them. I do agree though that this is a very well designed card, and it's a mythic for a reason. 5 mana, 6/6 flying trample alone, like you could have made that a rare, and nobody would have said anything. I honestly think it's the activated ability that makes it a mythic.
and let's be honest here. This card would go great in a deck with more control because you pay 2 life, you surveil, you give your stuff fodder to
Yeah.
eat, and also feed your undergrowth. So
Yeah, I
Definitely.
think between this Lich, because how much is Lich? Underrealm Lich is I think 5 as well.
it's 5 as well. It's 3, a green and a black.
So I think between, because more could be your big 3-drop, which you could run 4 of. Maybe 3 of, because again, it you have to be able to feed that upkeep ability. That's the only drawback, is that you have to feed it or sacrifice it. But I could see you running 2 of these and 2 of the Lich in a Golgari deck. Or who knows? Maybe you do run 4 of the Morgue Troll and you just don't play them all out at the same time like a fool. You just have a blah 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 blah.
yeah,
Just Morgue Trolls waiting on Morgue Trolls.
Redundancy.
This Morgue Troll dies, so then this one's gonna come and eat that Morgue Troll because it's hungry, and then the trolls just come out when the other trolls die.
Yeah.
So I mentioned it in the first, last week's stream that this standard set feels like it's actually going to slow down since most of the mono red or red black aggro decks are like losing a lot of their stuff. So I definitely feel like things are slowing down, and 5 mana cards will be making a better impact.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is just, even since Ixalan, I felt like the format was starting to slow down, and I don't know about anybody else, but like my experience with Ixalan was if you don't run Grisix Pirates, which was basically Grisix removal with like 2/1s and little flying unblockable things, like you were losing. The only draft I think I won was with Grisix Pirates and just tons of removal and that stupid enchantment that made something +2/+2 and flying.
One with the wind or something.
That sounds exactly like it actually. So that was my experience with Ixalan Limited. So I could see that. I didn't really do anything with Dominaria or M19 as far as like limited or standard or anything like that. So I don't really know. But I could see that the format's slowing down, which is kind of a good thing because we just before that had so much like red aggro and everything like that, right? So
Yeah, so
Okay. So it looks like we're going to Is It next? Is It lane?
So we're gonna make Phyrexian last because we like to give the people what they want in time. I'm just gonna leave that as a hint. So Valdor, do you want to go first, or do you want me to do mine?
yeah, I could go first. So I'm a longtime player. I've been playing since, original Ice Age. And so this is a callback to a huge, like, I wouldn't say huge, it's like a couple, like 4 cards. But this is Risk Factor. It's a 2 and a red instant. And its target opponent may have Risk Factor deal 4 damage to them. If that player doesn't, you draw 3 cards. And it has the new mechanic of Jumpstart, which, if you guys have forgotten, it's you may cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a card in addition to paying its other cost, then exile this card. So this is a callback to awesome cards like Browbeat or Breaking Point and Book Burning, and just cards that allow your opponent, I guess Vexing Devil 2 from, whatever, Innistrad, or Harvested and Restored. but it allows your opponent to make the choice or deal damage, or you get a benefit. And yeah, I've heard the arguments that letting your opponent choose is bad and it makes for a bad card, but flavor wise, I love it. I really do. So that's why this is my pick, just because it's a callback to a super old set of cards from Judgment, and it's awesome. It's red card draw, which doesn't happen a lot.
Yeah. Does having jumpstart make it better because it's like, oh, if you don't let me draw the cards this time, you take the 4. Are you gonna take 8, or are you gonna just give me 3 cards?
I do think having jumpstart makes it a little bit better. Like I played against Vexing Devil in Modern. Turn 1 Vexing Devil. Oh yeah, whatever. I'll take 4 damage. And then turn 4 Vexing Devil. Okay, I guess I'll take 4 damage. Then turn 6 Vexing Devil. You're like, oh crap, I can't do this anymore. Like they're beating me down already, and I'm taking 4 damage. It's like I don't know what to do here. And just being able to play, you throw 4 in a deck, which means you've basically thrown 8 in a deck, and you really want to take that much damage.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Is the fact that it's not just 4 damage, unless somebody's packing a bunch of Grave Hate, which we haven't seen a huge amount so far. We've seen a couple of like spare cards here and there, but unless you're going to be packing enough Grave Hate, like 4 of these is 24 damage, right? 8 times 4. Yeah, I do math. I'm sorry, 8 times. Oh no, 8 times 4 would be 32. That's 32 damage.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're not going to draw all of those in the game, but I mean, you still, again, Jumpstart's an amazing mechanic because you're essentially packing more spells into your deck for less.
I mean, you might draw them all if they let you draw like twice, right? Because they can't handle the damage. So, I don't know. What do you think, Phyrexian?
I think yes. I'm sorry, my internet was going in and out there, so I missed some of that. But I do like it as a callback card to old cards. I played Vexing Devil, and I even tried it out in Standard back when it was a thing. So,
You think the Jumpstart's an upgrade? Do you think it's enough to make it playable?
Fringe playable? I think somebody will try it.
Oh yeah, it's not going to be like in every red Standard deck, but people are going to play it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be amazing in draft. I mean,
you heard it here. Saffron Olive against the odds. He's going to make it work.
Maybe.
All right, so I am going to take over real quick, and I'm going to display mine. This actually got, I think, previewed, I'm sorry, right after we had our podcast from Monday. This is Runaway Steamkin. It's 1 red. It's a 1/1 elemental. It's a rare, so you're already kind of like, what? Whenever you cast a red spell, if Runaway Steamkin has fewer than 3 1/1 counters on it, put a 1/1 counter on it, and you can remove 3 counters to give yourself 3 mana. This is, I think this is really cool because it doesn't have a watermark. I'm 99% sure, as I'm sure most of you are by looking at the art and reading the name, that it's an Is It card. But I like the idea that you can run this in a Boros deck for mana acceleration. Plus, Boros is already doing 1/1 counters. So if you mentor this thing, you can still get it up to getting the 3 1/1 counters you need to get that extra mana. So I think these are going to be kind of like really cool cards to see if they do anything. Anytime you're giving red away to get more mana, I think that's good. I think that's what red and also white needs, is ways to get more mana. So this was a cool way, and it's a red spell, so it doesn't have to be an instant or sorcery. So for anybody who's like, oh, it has to be in a spell slinger deck, that's not true. You could be running red soldiers, you could be running red warriors, or red dinosaurs from Ixalan. It doesn't matter, but it's a way to fuel your deck and keep on going, or just giving you a 4/4. It's a 2 mana, potentially a 4/4 if it grows enough, and then you can use the mana maybe when you need it. You can, of course, remove the counters at instant speed. So in Commander, it could potentially feed into your Chaos Warp that people weren't expecting because they thought you were tapped out. I don't think it's going to be a great Commander card because it's only 1, but I think red will take any help that it can get with getting more mana or, accelerating its game plan. So I don't know what you guys think.
seems okay to me. Like right now, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything to really like abuse it or make it over the top. But I'm sure somewhere there is something that might make this an amazing card. And I do like the flavor of it. I do like the fact that it's a red spell and not just instants or sorceries. So it can make you go away from a spell slinging deck. And if you wanted to focus on creatures, you could, just as long as they're red creatures. So I do really like that.
Frexen, you have any thoughts on our little elemental buddy before I come up with a stupid idea I just came up with?
Oh, I don't know. When you phrase it that way, maybe I just want to hear your stupid idea first.
I had the random thought that if you remove the counters to make the 3 red mana, you could not like you could do like lightning bolt, shock, and some other stupid red spell to make the counters and just like cycle through it. You would obviously need draw power to do it, but it just made me suddenly think like, oh, if you could do 3 lightning bolts in commander, guess what? 3 lightning bolts in commander.
I like Clayke's idea, the rituals. Just run the rituals with it to make mana, to make more mana, to play something giant big.
Or, you know what else is 3 mana? The risk factor I just talked about. You get damage or card draw.
And you still get a counter back on it. That's the other cool thing is that when you make that mana, you get mana back. I mean, you get counters back. So it feeds itself because you're making red mana. So chances are you're going to play red spells. So I think that's also another cool thing I didn't notice at first. The fact that it's like, hey, we're going to keep doing this. So it might even be a card that you need to maybe get rid of so it doesn't get crazy.
Yeah.
But I apologize. I interjected in front of your thoughts. Frexing.
No, it's. I was just saying, Clicky pointed out modern rituals, and that could be an interesting. Just running some of the like pyretic ritual stuff, trying to just steamroll into mana upon mana upon mana. You could try to run it in a storm build, even with that. Like just try to storm off, use it to help fuel a storm build.
Valdor's like, no.
No, sir.
I'm sorry, I know storm's no fun, but
storm.
If you've ever heard of storms that last for 1,000 years.
I don't know what you're talking about because we're not going to talk about that card because you picked. No, I'm just kidding. He picked the card.
I picked 1,000-Year Storm because I will try to build around this in Commander at some point. It just seems really fun to try. It's for 4, a blue and a red. It's an enchantment, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it for each other instant sorcery spell you've cast before it this turn. You may choose new targets for the copies. So it's basically just a card that gives every single instant and sorcery spell you cast Storm. Yay. I'm one of the few people who likes playing Storm decks, probably. So I haven't had a lot of success with doing a Storm deck in 3DH because a lot of the cards that enable Storm decks to be really good are not exactly 3DH legal.
What are you talking about? Jura is a Storm Commander, I thought.
Well, I mean, you can play her as a Storm Commander, but I mean, I usually just play her as like a Aetherworks or draw out for a lab man kind of thing. But you could play her as Storm too.
I think some other cool parts, me being the Vorthos lore loving guy, is I want to point out the flavor text, and I also want to point out that this is a story. Oh, I stole it from you, huh?
I want to point out the flavor text, but yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, I do want to point out this is a story spotlight card, and what that basically means for those of you who don't know is that the story behind Magic is often depicted in certain few select cards. Like they kind of throw cards up into the story of like, hey, this is an attack, and this is an attack card, and kind of, I described it kind of this way, but these are specific events that are happening in the story. They used to do like story spotlight 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and usually it's 5-ish. They decided to go away from doing the numbers thing, so we all kind of have to guess until the story starts, which is really annoying for people who like want to dive into the story and try to make predictions, because as you get the previews, you have to kind of try to. It's like a moving puzzle piece, and it kind of is. It's really annoying. For the flavor text, Ral's storm crackled with mystical detections. Planeswalkers were infiltrating Ravnica. I have a very strong belief that this is going to be the last spotlight card. That this is going to be the break between, like, sure, Ral and Vraska are there, but this is, I think, where all the planeswalkers are going to pop in. I think we're going to see most of them in either the first wave showing up in the second set, and then the last wave slash the climax happening in the third set, or the second set's going to be just rife with planeswalkers, kind of like how M19 was, which is funny because they mentioned that they thought that that was a mistake later on, that there were so many planeswalkers in one set. But yeah, I think the flavor of this card, and plus the art is so cool. Like, this might become my new desktop art. For those of you who don't know, I have Alpine Moon as the desktop on my computers. I might change it to this. This is really cool. I've always wanted a good picture of Ravnica that isn't just like a temple garden or like something like that, like just one spot. This is like most of Ravnica in one picture. And there's a little dude. Look, it's Ral. He's right there.
I don't know. I personally think Steam Vents is the new one. Is pretty awesome art.
There's no Steam, and I see no vents on that art.
Who cares? It's awesome looking.
If you had said, is it Lightning Cultivator, it would have made sense. Steam vents? What do you mean Steam vents?
No Steam, no vents. I agree with DM here.
Art,
Flavor fails.
Just like, when was the last time they printed an island that was an actual freaking island?
Every art in Ixalan was an island. Ixalan was an island.
You gonna write home about that? I mean,
Ixalan was an island. All the arts were islands.
In Ixalan. Keep going. What other sets?
I'm sure there was islands on Dominaria.
Come on. Yeah. No.
What are you talking about? Water Bowl is the best island I've ever seen. That's the coolest island I've ever seen. It's a floating bowl of rock with water coming out of it.
That's not an island.
How does the water get back in? That's what I want to know.
Magic.
Does it just rain? Do the clouds get up that high? What if it floats above the clouds? Then what? All the water-loving people in that bowl just died.
Speaking of clouds and whatnot, so from the art, we're going to go to my card. So, just real quick.
Go back to risk factor?
What? No. I chose this as. Oh wait, no. Oh, that's my bad. I thought I know what I'm doing. I swear.
I don't know what he's doing. So
I was the wrong thing.
All right. Well,
he was trying to segue as beautifully as I did, and he failed miserably.
I failed horribly. I'm not.
Are we going to your Selesnya card?
I guess we'll go to my Selesnya card because for some reason I thought that's what we were on. I don't know.
On to Selesnya is what I said. There you
On
go.
to Selesnya. Here we are.
Divine
I do.
Visitation.
To be fair, I actually really like the card you picked. If you didn't pick it, I think I would have picked it.
So, honestly, I think this is supposed to be a Boros card because of the angels, and you can see the red stripes on their wings. But Divine Visitation is a 3 white enchantment at mythic rarity. And it says if one or more creature tokens would be created under your control, that many 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance are created instead. Again, the art very much screams Boros to me, but let's be honest here. Selesnya is the guild of tokens, and this just helps your token strategies.
Boros and Assemble the Legion would like a word.
Mostly token strategy.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Some of the Legion isn't in this set, but March of the Multitudes is. I don't know, just like with how much token generation Selesnya has in this set, this is in all rights deserve to be mythic because turning all of those 1/1s you get into 4/4 flying vigilance creatures, like this is one of those cards that if you don't remove it instantly, it's going to run away with the game, and it's going to be horrible for your opponents. It's an EDH card, like hands down in any token deck. It's might make an impact in standard, and I love this. This is the ultimate anthem for tokens.
Not gonna lie, totally didn't read that the angels had vigilance. Had no clue. I knew they made 4/4 Flying Angels. That was pretty cool. I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely awesome. They have Vigilance, even better. But you know what's? I'm just gonna make a point, right? Citywide Bus Boros card beats us.
The what?
The white toughness 4 or greater board white,
Oh yeah.
which again is a Boros card, and like we're saying, this is Boros art. Like, I don't understand how Boros was made this time.
Boros is. They were drunk. Like they were so happy that they made the rest of this set amazing. They drank a little too much. Like, oh, we forgot about Boros. Let's just crack this out. Can't be too hard. This is what's
I do. Al Smartman mentions that the flavor text on this card is great as well. The Angels appreciated the offer, but politely declined to eat any birdseed. Who in their right mind sees the Warrior Angels of Boros and was like, "Hey, birdseed? What smartass wanted to lose their hand?"
drunk. Is it goblins?
Okay, that's not fair. They want to lose pretty much everything. Completely different.
So we had a question in chat real quick, which is how does divine visitation work with gather specimen? Which gather specimen is says if a creature would enter the battlefield under an opponent's control, enters the battlefield under your control, which means taking other people's tokens. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I guess it's which one? Because this isn't a triggered ability, right?
no, it's a replacement.
Yeah, it's a replacement. So when the 4/4 angel would enter, it would come into play under your control.
But they're both replacement effects. So which one
Yeah.
takes effect first? Because Divine Visitation specifically says under your control. So if a token would come down and get stolen by Gather Specimen, do you get the angel? No, because if that's the way the order works. But if it's replaced, it goes off whose turn it is, right?
It would be
No.
non-active player, active player, so you get the regular token, not the angel.
Yeah. Well, the other person would. The person with
Yeah.
Gather would have it.
Judge. We got a judge
I'm
check?
pretty sure it would go on the I'm pretty sure they would get the original token, not the angel token. The person who cast Gather or did the pirate.
Yeah.
But
That's pretty
that's
cool.
my
though.
card.
I do agree with you that this is a very Selesnya card. I think Boros just isn't doing tokens. If Mentor had been some other ability where it was like Brahma's King of or Sekos or Roscos, something like that, where like instead of it being give a
Yeah.
counter out, you give a tapped and attacking creature, even if it died at end of turn, and it could like scale up. So Mentor 1, Mentor 2, and then you probably wouldn't get anything higher than maybe Mentor 3. I think that would have made more sense for cards like this. And not only that, but like cards where it's like, hey, kill creatures with toughness or power a certain number or higher. Like if they had gone for like the Soldier Swarm, which again, like yes, Selesnya has always been tokens, but in the past they've been more like big tokens, right? Like beast tokens and stuff like that. So the fact that they're getting all the soldiers, I feel like Boros has kind of lost its identity. And it seems like they're trying to do more of an angel theme with them. But I don't think it's working out.
I don't know. I've also heard random stories, or I've heard random rumors about the stories that might make sense, weirdly enough, which is Boros is actually slowly starting to take over the other guilds and like commandeer. I wouldn't say commandeer, but like Boros is the Legion. They're the militaristic ones, so they are conscripting the other guilds to fight against whatever's happening.
Drafting?
That's why. Huh?
Well, if they're doing it really poorly.
I don't know, but that's just what I heard.
Because they'd be a lot better by now if they were really conscripting the other guilds or drafting or whatever.
Yeah. Kind of like a military draft is what I mean. Obviously not like drafting cards, but like military draft. Maybe. I don't know. But even still, I don't know. It's kind of a weird thought that they could be. I think, so we were talking before about like wedges and stuff like that. I think if Sultai is going to be the thing because of undergrowth and everything like that, I think Naya's the other kind of side of that wedge, where Mentor, because Selesnya makes so many 1/1s, I think Mentor is going to be the big thing to make those 1/1 tokens bigger. So maybe in the third set we're going to see guilds blending together, and Naya's going to be the blend there. I don't know exactly what Izzet's going to. I mean, Izzet can still work with Surveil, because you can still pitch jumpstart cards and then play them that way or whatever. But I don't think that's as strong, and maybe another guild is going to work better with jumpstart than like maybe Simic, right? Maybe it's going to be Timur Spellslinger or something. I don't know. But it's an interesting idea. But yeah, I like the idea of like, here's my 1/1, soldier token. Nope, never mind. That's a 4/4 flying now vigilant angel, because I knew it had vigilance the whole time. I don't know what you're talking about.
So, yeah. So we want to move on to the next card because we actually spent a decent amount of time on this one.
Yes, Phyrexian. Let's move on to the next card. I noticed that 2 of your cards had the same word in it, and that word was Whisperer. This is your opportunity.
I like cards that whisper.
I sprung this on him. He's not prepared.
I went with Beast Whisperer, and it was 2 and 2 green. And it's a creature. It's an elf druid, and it says whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. I really like cards that say when you cast something, draw cards. I really like Jorah. I love her. She's a great commander. And I think this just gives help to tribal elves who want to be able to draw more elves. I think it gives help to any creature-centered deck that plays green. It's basically like you took a Primordial Sage and just shrunk it, because you shrunk it from a 6 mana costed 4/5 that draws you extra cards when you cast creatures, to a 4 mana costed 2/3 that draws you extra cards when you cast creatures, which 4 mana 2/3 fits a lot better in your curve for casting creatures than the 6 mana. Because a lot of times by the time you've hit 6 mana, you may have dropped a lot of your smaller creatures, but at 4 mana you might still have some left to drop for greater incremental value. It's just a card that gives you greater incremental value. Again, it doesn't have a watermark that labels it as Selesnya, but so you could play it. I mean, it could be Golgari, it could be Gruul, but when the next set comes out, but I think it speaks a lot more to what Selesnya is trying to do in this set, just with the token-based creature strategies.
Yeah, I think it might be kind of cool to see if cards that don't have watermarks here have specifically good synergy with cards from the next set. So like they can't have a watermark because obviously we're not in that set yet, but it's going to be like a key card for like whatever Gruul or Simic is doing. Just as maybe. Who knows? I think that might be an interesting idea. Valdor?
No, I mean, anything that is Glimpse of Nature on legs is super amazing. It's an elf and a druid, which are both, great EDH types. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Phyrexian pretty much covered it. It's, especially in EDH, it's 4 mana, so you have a better chance of getting that small amount of value. Yeah, it's definitely a solid card.
I do like that it gets away from the kind of like green stereotype of big stuff matters, where like Drum Hunter would draw you a card if you were casting something that was 3 power or greater or anything like that. Like just those kind of cards where it had to have a stipulation tied to it. This is literally just cast a creature. It doesn't have to be a green creature. It doesn't have to be a creature this big or that small.
It just you cast it and you draw a card.
Yeah, which I think speaks to why it's a rare.
I do know if the cost isn't too high, it'll be slotted right into a lot of my 3D decks, either next to Soul of the Harvest and Primordial Sage, or in replacement of one of them. Just because it does what you want to do. You need card advantage.
Yeah,
people get card advantage.
I can see this. Magic games. Yeah, I can see this replacing Primordial Sage in some of my decks because of the elf type. Like I think I have Primordial Sage in some of my like Selesnya, or not Selesnya, Savala deck is mostly elf strategy. So I could see slotting this in just for that extra little value, because I do have some things that give counters or mana or life based on how many elves I have. So it would be a nicer fit than Primordial Sage, which I believe is just an elemental. So, and of course, last but not least, we of course are commander players, so we always like to look at the commanders of any given set. And Selesnya had another commander come out last week, I think on Wednesday or so. It is the newest iteration of Trostani, which is Trostani Discordant. It's 3, a green, and a white for a 1/4 legendary creature Dryad. It has an Anthem effect as its first line of text. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. Oh, it is a mythic. When it enters the battlefield, you're going to create 2 1/1 white soldier creature tokens with lifelink. So automatically, as long as she's around, they're going to be 2/2s. And at the beginning of your end step, each player gains control of all creatures they own. So it's going to become that anti steal things. It kind of reminds me of Sigarda, the old Sigarda, where you couldn't abilities could not make your opponent's control could not make you sacrifice things. It reminds me of that. It's got a baked in homeward path ability, so it kind of disrupts another strategy. The thing that I think is the most interesting about this is that there hasn't been a lot of control creature effects that I've noticed in the set. So I feel like this is maybe foreshadowing for the next one. I don't know if maybe Simic's going to control something, or what's the only other Azorius maybe is going to control something as the other blue guild, right? Demir, Simic, Azorius.
Is it?
Well, yeah, it's in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Those are the only two I think might happen. I think Azorius did try in the past, as far as a storyline, to do some kind of controlling people by making people have to obey the laws or something like that in the first Ravnica.
Yeah,
So,
I can't remember.
Yeah, so that might be something. And then, of course, Simic is always... Maybe they're taking a leaf out of Selesnya's book from, again, a previous storyline and trying to do the hive mind thing with some kind of experiment. But I think it's going to be relevant the more we reveal stuff. I don't think it's a fantastic commander. I think it's, I can think of some of the tech, right? Conjurer's Closet, and of course all kinds of token doublers and other Anthem effects. Helm of the Host is silly in this because if you have Helm of the Host and Parallel Lives, you get 2 copies, which means you now have 3 Anthem effects, and you just made 2 times 2 times 3. So what is that? 6 times 2 times 2, so 4 times 3. So you would just make 12 tokens out of nowhere. So that's kind of cool. But I don't think necessarily... I should have just let Phyrexian do that math. Did I do it wrong?
No, you did fine. It's just as a math teacher, I'm just over here giggling, listening to you doing the math.
Because at first, for some reason, as I went to say it, I was like, did I say 3 or did I say 6? Why do I have 6 in my brain? Maybe I was trying to do the math in the line as I went or something. But anyway, so you can make this big board out of nowhere. And again, with those 3 Anthem effects, they're not 1/1s anymore. They're 4/4s. And that's all, it's great, but there are token decks that do it better, I think. And that's going to be kind of the problem. And they don't have to worry about, bouncing themselves or anything. Risks of Redeemed just makes tokens like this out of nowhere. And then it has the same color, so it has access to the same tech, except it doesn't have to worry about flicker effects. So, I don't know what you guys think.
I think of it in compared to Tolsmere Wolfblood, too, which gives the potential +2/+2 if they're green-white creatures.
Yep. But I don't know, Valdor, are you a Selesnya mage?
Not really, but
Danny.
I do think that this card is pretty good in EDH just because you have 2 relevant, almost static abilities, and it also makes bigger because they come in as 1/1 tokens, but then they become 2/2s with lifelink. And to me, that's just good. You're creating basically, 5 power? Yeah, 5 power worth of bodies for 5 mana, which is decent. It's pretty good.
With lifelink.
Yeah, with lifelink. And yeah, the fact that it has homeward path, that triggers on your upkeep, or your instep, is pretty good.
Yeah. For the record, because Phyrexian did mention we got to get Danny in here, she did read this card when it was previewed, and she did ooh and ah at it. But again, I ooh and ah at, last week, I ooh and ah at Izonia, or Zoni, which is the other Golgari legendary, and upon going back and thinking about it, I do see where people are finding the faults now, and I'm like, oh, okay, I mean, it's probably not as good. It did a lot of the things I wanted to do, but I think the cost gets in the way. If it didn't cost 6 to come in and then 2 to do its effect, I think that would probably make it a little better. But my point is that I think the first look at it, it's in the colors you want. It has a lot of, again, those buzzwords like we said on, I think, another legendary creature from last week, where it's like, oh yeah, we were talking about Imara, actually. The other Selesnya one, it's got all the right buzzwords. It's got green, white, it's got token, it's got soldier, it's got an anthem effect, it's got lifelink. Like, those are all great things, but in practice, like, forget the theory crafting and put the deck together and put it on a table, I do not think it will run away with the game as much as we want it to, or as much as we think about it right now. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does to me at least.
I do see in the chat a couple of people are like, oh, it's probably better than the 99, and I do agree with that, because again, that anthem effect, anytime you put an anthem effect into a big token deck, like, that can have a huge difference, because all of a sudden you're 1/1s or 2/2s, and that just doubled all your power, right? So I could see it working, but I'm not 100% sure how much it'll work at the helm of a deck. So those are so each of us chose these 5. Again, Phyrexian did Beast Whisperer, Aurelia, Thousand Year Storm, Etrata, and Doom Whisperer because he cheated. I would like Trosan Discordant, Citywide Bust, I liked, I guess. Runaway Steamkin, Lazov, and Vraska, and then Valdor like Divine Visitation, Chance for Glory, Risk Factor, I don't know why, Mission Briefing, and Mortal. There's obviously a lot of other good previews. I think next week we're going to try to go a little bit more into some of the other cards that come out. We do have another week, so that's very exciting. As I said at the beginning of the stream, we are going to be uploading the audio to these to at least Stitcher and SoundCloud, and then the video is going to go up on YouTube. I just have to actually really finish uploading last week's, and then that'll be available. I think the SoundCloud and Stitcher links are going to be available in the Discord very soon. If you're new here and you're not sure, or if you haven't been to the Discord, if you go down below, there's a Discord link. Click that, join us on Discord, and we have 3DH games firing all the time. We help people build decks. We talk about Magic. We talk about all kinds of other topics that are just fun topics to talk about. You can follow us on all kinds of different social media. Obviously, twitch.tv/PraetorMagic, because ta-da, you're here. But if you are hearing this through, again, those audio sites or the YouTube, twitch.tv/PraetorMagic, twitter.com/PraetorMagic. I am at DM_cross. I'm sorry.
What?
I think did I say that right? At twitter.com/DM_cross. And then Valdor is at?
I'm Valdor19 on Twitter. I'm also hanging around the Discord all the time and, ignoring people and not really saying much because I've been bad at it lately.
I think we could all probably be a little bit more interactive. And the more people that join, obviously, the more that we want to interact with you guys. We've been getting a lot of people, I think, coming in from my latest EDH article because I always find ways to sneak in links. There's also facebook.com/PraetorMagic, so you can follow us there. And I'm trying to now do a lot better with the Twitter and the Facebook about posting when streams and videos are going up and stuff like that, so that you guys know when we're doing things from any which way that you are interacting with us. So, Phyrexian, yes, is anti-social media. You are 100% correct.
I'm anti-social media, but I would love to talk to you on the Discord and help out with building particularly 3DH decks, because
he does have to build them all, so he needs help. Hashtag 3DH Chronicles. We'll get it trending. He won't know what that means because he doesn't have social media.
I know what it means. I just won't have any clue that it's happening.
Oh, we'll tell you. But, yep, so Phyrexian is always building decks. He actually did his own stream the other day, which was really cool. Thank you to everybody who showed up and was in the chat or was in the game with him. He covered for my Friday because I was on a family trip. That was very much appreciated. I completely forgot. Me and my wife had to go up to New Jersey. We had somebody in her family pass recently, and we were going up for his memorial service. So thank you guys for understanding that I wasn't around to be able to stream. I didn't bring a laptop. I didn't bring anything other than my phone. So there was no way I was going to get online to be able to play with you guys on stream, let alone play with you guys at all. But again, Phyrexian, thank you for taking that stream. Hopefully that means there will be some other Phyrexian-based streams where everybody can try to kill him first before turn 6. Otherwise, he'll just win the game.
That's what happened.
But like I said, make sure you follow us on all our social media. We will post in the announcements channel on the Discord and on Twitter when the audio files and the video come out. And if you guys are good, I'm good.
We're good, and we look
Great.
forward to going for week 3 of spoilers next week.
Yeah, at least this time we didn't say mechanics.
Mechanics.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for joining the podcast, and we'll see you next Monday. Peace.
Take it easy, y'all.